Welcome to the Across the Bar podcast, where we talk about how today's headlines can be important for you at work. My name is Peter Rahbar, and I should be your first call on legal issues.
And I'm Laura Brounstein. I should be your first call on anything communications and content related. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing great. We're smack in the middle of holiday season in New York. The best place to be for the holidays, in my opinion.
How has the holiday season been going for you?
Wonderful. I love it.
It's the best time of year.
Went to a great holiday party last night, feeling energized, ready to go to a couple more.
Where
if anyone wants to invite us,
yeah,
great party guests.
We are such good party guests. It's really kind of insane. You know, I am sticking with my paper plane being my drink of this holiday season.
Wow. Okay.
And it's a brand new drink for me, and it's a delight. Have you had a paper plane?
Yeah. We talked about this last week. I make them, and I have not had one since we talked about it. But
all right, we're gonna have to have one together.
Focus on that
for the holidays. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen the tree yet in Rockefeller Center?
Well, I haven't seen the tree, but I got stuck in the traffic the night of the tree lighting, which I wasn't excited about.
Poor planning.
That's one of the worst things about the holiday season in New York. So
I think the worst way to get stuck in New York, my most horrifying situation, is when I have gotten stuck on the wrong side of the street from my apartment the night of the Halloween parade.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
that's a tough one.
Yeah, because there's nothing you can do. And it's like everyone is wasted and you're just trying to get home.
So I've seen a lot of Christmas trees, just not that one yet. It's on the list. I'll probably see it coming up this week or next.
I saw it last week. It was big and sparkly as ever.
City's looking great. We may get some snow. So we'll be in full effect.
I hope we get some snow. Okay, so we're going to talk about very interesting things today. Obviously. We are going to talk about a sports thing that is about who?
The coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
Okay. We're going to come right back to that. We have some really surprising news about the state of women in the workplace, the state of the average American at the moment, and then a question around, not a question, kind of a conversation around holidays and gifting and what's appropriate at the workplace.
Okay. All right.
And then a question about COBRA. So get ready, Peter.
Quite a diverse slate of topics.
Okay, tell me about what happened with the University of Michigan coach.
Yeah, what I love is I sent you this story yesterday, and you're so like averse to sports, you didn't even bother to dig into it.
I started reading it, and I just was like, I'm glazing over. I can't. He'll tell me. Right.
Well, for sports fans, it was quite an evening, or quite a past 24 hours. We're now recording Thursday afternoon. The coach of the University of Michigan Wolverines, which is one of the top college football programs.
One of the colleges in the country.
Yeah, top college in the country. Has one of the most passionate fan bases in the country.
Yeah.
The coach was surprisingly fired for cause yesterday because he allegedly has had an affair with a staffer or an inappropriate relationship. It then, over the next few hours, unfolded into a really crazy story where after he was informed of his termination, he went to his lover's home, broke in, threatened to kill her, and then threatened to kill himself, and was arrested by the police. So he's currently in jail right now.
People are not okay. My goodness.
On assault charges. I should also note,
was this shocking for this guy? Was he like, peace and love, and then did this?
Well, he's married with 4 kids. So
okay.
That's one thing. But apparently these allegations came to the university a few months ago anonymously. They investigated it, allegedly, and didn't find any corroborating evidence. Now, based on what we've heard so far of the investigation, it was just an internal investigation, and they asked the two of them whether they were engaged in a relationship with each other, and they said no, and they dropped the matter. And then apparently yesterday, it's being reported, the woman who was an administrative assistant came forward with text messages, emails, etc., And
Receipts.
receipts. And once she did that, he was immediately fired. And now the university is hiring a law firm to come in and investigate the whole thing to understand what happened here, which is obviously a little late.
Jiminy Crickets.
Yeah, so it's
Right now, in my world, I think I've mentioned one of my main clients is a college counseling company, top tier admissions. And everybody's waiting on tenterhooks for early decision for Michigan to come out.
right.
I wonder if, this is people might not want to go there now.
Well, I mean, if you're a regular student, you probably don't care. They'll
Oh,
hire
okay.
another great coach or whatever. There are some interesting conspiracy theories out there that the school knew about it and waited until there was an early signing period that ended last week for recruits. So those are the people who would actually care who the football coach is. And also their biggest football game took place a couple weeks ago. So there's conspiracy theories about
What
that.
a crazy coincidence.
But let's be clear. We've talked about this many times on the podcast before. The real story here is if you're the boss, you're the essentially CEO of anything, you should not be engaging in any type of relationship with anyone who works for you, period. Yeah. Now, it's this story has had a tragic turn, obviously. And now he's in jail and he'll never work again, and he may be in jail for a pretty long time, depending on what he did. But even without that, he would have been fired for a cause, causing him millions of dollars in losses under his contract. And, this is not behavior that CEOs should be engaging in, or if you're president of a company or CEO of a company or football
You're the
coach,
top dog.
you're
Whatever
the
that
top
looks like.
dog. And in these power dynamics, it happens a lot in sports. Actually, I'm surprised we don't see these stories more often.
Well, I
It
think
was a
there
very
weren't enough women working in sports for it to happen, honestly.
well. They're working at very low levels, and the men,
Yeah.
and then there's these coaches at very high levels. I mean, a very similar thing happened with a coach at Louisville not too long ago, and a coach at Michigan State, and so we joke about it, but they have these relationships and these actions have serious consequences. They have serious consequences to the people involved. They have serious consequences to the companies involved. Here, players may leave the team over it. Who knows what type of coach they'll find, etc.
Yeah.
So there's the athletic director may lose his job for
Well,
maintaining an
there's a lot of
environment.
money on the line for college sports, college football, top 10 football programs, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Big
And
Ten, not top-
Michigan in particular is one that's always boasted that it has a higher value set than other schools, and so other schools have never really appreciated that approach, and now
I could see that.
they're gonna probably they already are getting just completely roasted over this and what their value set may or may not actually be. So the reputational harm to the company here in Michigan is going to be pretty severe.
Wow.
But all around, just a very tragic and dramatic example of why you should never be in
And
these
people are not
situations in the
okay.
first place.
The next story, which you caught, and I was immediately like, yes, we should talk about this because it's so real. Axios did one of their end of the year stories, and the word that people use to best, it was a story about Glassdoor doing Glassdoor, the online career platform, announced Wednesday, and this was an article in Axios, that fatigue is its word of the year. That people are anxious about holding on to their jobs, anxious about finding jobs. It's a rough year, and fatigue is the main word. I so agree with this. And I also...
Are you feeling fatigued from 2025?
Yes.
I mean, 2025 was a tough year for everyone generally,
Yeah.
don't you think?
Yeah, but also, you may remember that I have a former employee, Clear. Their buzzword was that everyone at Clear was indefatigable.
Really?
And that was
Wow.
their welcome to Clear as an employee video. It had a bunch of people being indefatigable. What does that mean? I could say it, this whole thing.
Were they feeding you super nutrients or something like that to
No.
keep you going? Like special AG1 packs?
No, they
something
were
like that?
feeding me equity that didn't vest. So
Oh, yeah, that's
similar but
unfortunate.
different. But at the time when I had a content role, I felt that that was aggressive, saying people were indefatigable. And that is going to backfire on you. And nobody actually wants to be indefatigable. They want to be able to take rest when needed. And I just think this is such a sign that the hustle culture is back, that people are feeling so fatigued.
I've never been a fan of the celebration of hustle culture, and I've always been someone who's worked pretty hard in my various jobs. I will say if people want to work hard, they should work hard. They should be rewarded for it, But I think leaders need to understand that everybody can't go at the same pace as them or even their best and brightest. Not everybody's going to be an A-plus superstar. And people get tired. And people need rest to recharge. I don't care how hard they work and how good they are. They're going to need time to rest and recharge. That should be a priority on the mind of all leaders, especially as we approach year end. I used to counsel managers on the question, can I force an employee to take vacation? And some managers were asking that because they literally wanted their employees to burn off vacation and not carry it over. Others were asking because they were truly concerned that, they knew this employee never took a day off.
That's a good manager.
And I think a good manager thinks about stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And when I work with executives, I tell them all the time, when we're negotiating agreements, I always push them to negotiate for vacation weeks.
I haven't worked someplace that had a number of days versus just, it's unlimited for ages.
Well, the unlimited thing is a scam.
Obviously. But has it swung back the other way? Are less companies saying unlimited now? And are they back to saying 3 weeks?
The ones that are saying unlimited purely don't want to accrue.
Those are the 996 companies.
They just don't want to accrue the numbers on their books. That's the unlimited. It's not because they're big believers in vacation.
What does that mean, accrue the numbers on their books?
Well, when you tell an employee they have 4 weeks of vacation and that they could potentially carry it over,
then you have to pay them for it.
Yeah, that's a number that the employer has to account for.
Got it.
And is an expense to them. But if you say unlimited, then you're not accounting for anything. There's nothing to carry over.
Really clever loophole.
Very clever. That Zuckerberg, he really figures out all the tricks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really important as a manager to be mindful of that. As a worker, I think you also need to be mindful of that, and we've talked about it before on the podcast about, how much vacation is too much and how you should take it and when you should take it. And, you need to have a good sense of what's right in your company, but also you need to really be taking care of yourself because no one else is going to be looking out for you.
Yes,
the managers are rare.
You don't want to take a mental health day and leave work on your colleagues' laps in a repeated way.
No,
you have to take care of yourself, but part of that is being responsible still around what you have been assigned and making sure that you're not sort of just leaving the work for others. Because I see that a lot more now in our disconnected remote world. Some people feel like, someone else will just take care of it.
I'm definitely not advocating that, but I'm saying you should plan vacations. You should take vacations regularly throughout the year. That time is yours. That's your benefit. If you don't use it, you're the one who's losing. And I can't tell you the number of people who I've worked with who were terminated or leaving a company and trying to argue for payment of vacation they never took. And the companies are like, yeah, whatever. Screw yourself. So don't be in that position. And it's also important for your long-term success, frankly, is to take time off.
Yeah. And employers should realize that the world is hard right now, as previously discussed. I think I shared in another episode that I see a psychiatrist occasionally. Mental health is a wonderful gift to give yourself when you can. And she was saying that every patient is coming on and just saying the world is getting them down. They are attributing mental and emotional distress much more than typical to what's going on in their external world rather than their kind of personal world.
Sure. I mean, the news cycle is relentless. A lot of the news is not good.
No matter which side you're on.
No matter which side you're on. people are in the office more, so that's obviously harder, and it strains things, and particularly if you have a family, etc., like it could be very difficult. Society's generally less affordable right now. I mean, there's huge issues with
Affordability, not a hoax.
affordability, which really stresses people out. So look, I mean, and also the future just isn't clear. And I think, we talk about it in terms of companies forecasting and doing layoffs and slowing down hiring, but I think also for individuals, you look at how tough 2025 was, and you don't really see it changing much for 2026. And it's not exciting. It's difficult.
I have a question related to this. So,
Great. I'm ready for it.
I'm going to say the name of the company yet. This person who might be sitting right here with long blonde hair, wearing a navy sweater, worked someplace and started on COBRA upon layoff last year. COBRA always has 18 months, but the company has now completely shut down, and thus there is no longer a COBRA requirement. I've never heard of this before. What is this?
Right. So COBRA, I mean, it's funny. A lot of people don't know what COBRA really is. COBRA is a federal law, and there are state laws that are similar equivalents that basically say when you're terminated by an employer, you're still eligible to remain on their plans, but you have to pay the full premium for up to 18 months. And in some states, it's longer. And so when you quit and you're offered COBRA, it's basically a more expensive version of your company health insurance. And
but it's usually better for your money than what you could get on the open exchange.
Exactly.
It's still a
Right.
version of your company insurance.
Right. And so people will choose it because it's a better plan, or their doctors are under it or whatever, and they don't want to disrupt it, or they have a health condition, et cetera. So, and a lot of times if there's a layoff, companies will subsidize or fully pay for COBRA. So that's another reason to stay on. But there are certain circumstances where COBRA will not be available to you. And one of them is if a company goes out of business or shuts down their medical plan for some other reason. And
I had no idea this could happen. So this is just so people know it could happen.
To me, there should be a backstop for this, and there isn't on the federal level. I also think the COBRA system generally works in a way that's very clunky and causes a lot of stress for people leaving their jobs who are already facing a ton
in
of
general,
stress.
the fact that health insurance is still tied to employment when such a growing number of Americans are having more gig jobs, less full-time jobs is crazy to me.
Yeah, and trust me, employers would love to have nothing to do with health insurance, but the government is not, as we can see with, the craziness going on over Obamacare and the subsidies. I think there was a vote today that was a deadlock vote. So I don't see the federal government swooping in and offering a solution anytime soon. Damn, if someone was smart enough and had the right ideas and coalition, it would be hugely popular. For sure.
Peter, should we start that? Should we do that?
Yeah, the COBRA Coalition. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Although I don't like snakes, so I couldn't, I couldn't have a little logo with snakes.
Snakes on a plane. All right.
Yeah, not good.
So the next thing we want to talk about also may or may not be perceived as fallout from our current administration. Lean In, which was started by Sheryl Sandberg in 2013, I believe it was. And I know that because we had a partnership with the Lean In Foundation at the Cosmopolitan magazine. Has come out with their annual Women in the Workplace study, and women are falling back. Women's progress is falling backwards at this point. It is going the reverse direction. That women are facing the broken rung still holds for women. There's the first step up to manager is always a tough one for women. They're under more pressure. Flexibility stigma hurts with women, meaning they're penalized because they need to work remotely because of care issues. And people value fair and opportunities and respectful culture, but it does not seem to be existing yet. And women are actually opting out of the hustle more. This is very sad. It's their
It's very
11th
sad.
annual. Their first report was in 24. So this is their 11th annual report, and things are going backwards.
Right. But it's also very consistent with what you and I have been talking about the past
Yep.
few weeks. And what I've been seeing in my own work is that women are really being pretty severely impacted, in particular by the rollback of DEI. I mean, it's not even a rollback. Maybe the massacre is probably the right word of it for it.
And the return to work.
Yeah, I mean, that's a separate issue. I think, I mean, obviously that has an impact too, but you know,
More
if
women
we
have
wanna,
caretaking responsibilities for
sure.
children or elderly relatives than men.
Yeah. One of the most shocking things I saw in that survey was that 20% of companies said they have little or no priority on the advancement of women's careers. Like the fact that 20% of companies surveyed were willing to say that is shocking
And
to
keep
me.
in mind how many more it must be in reality.
Right, right. And so, look, I think companies are feeling a lot of pressure to say stuff like that from this administration, frankly. So, you know, at the outset, you said some of it may have to do with the administration, 100%. And I will also say, like I've told others, like I've told people at companies, and they agree with me, there is no check on this behavior right now. The government agencies that normally work to ensure fairness, equity, safety in the workplace, that is not their priority right now. I mean, the
They want to make sure
EEOC's
you stop taking Tylenol.
priority right now is anti-American worker discrimination. I mean, just think about that. What a huge problem that must be
Yeah.
in this world. They certainly do not care about the advancement of women or, you know, equal pay or anything like that. That's just not even on the website, I bet, if I went and looked right now.
Which, when women are taken out of the workplace, a country's GDP lowers. Like, that is science, usually. Like,
Yeah.
for the trajectory of growth of the GDP. It's because it's taking people who can be productive out of productivity. So it's not a
Yeah.
good thing long term for a country.
No, and look, good management always, you know, valued diversity of thought and opinion, and to get that, you need diversity of representation in boardrooms and other settings where decisions are made. If you're just going to have a bunch of white guys sitting around making decisions, you know, you're not going to get a broad set of perspectives. I'm sorry, you're not.
True.
And people notice who make these decisions. I mean, the number of companies that have websites where you go look up their leadership teams and it's all a bunch of white guys, like it's crazy to me. Like, why even put up the pictures if that's the case? You know, is always my thing. But you know, it's a very difficult time. I think this survey is really important. I think people should read it, and I think it's very reflective of what's happening.
Thank you
in
for
the
being a
workplace
good
now.
ally, Peter.
Oh my God! I mean, it's what I do every day in my work. So I see it. I really do see it, and my clients feel it, and it's shocking because some of them are super accomplished women who work really hard or who have been acknowledged and rewarded.
I
for
know
it,
a couple of them. Ballers.
and these days they're just getting fired out of the blue. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so I have a happy, heartwarming topic for the last topic.
all right.
A friend of mine who is a contractor with a big brand, she works like 20 hours a week for them. They said she just got a t-shirt in the mail from them with a note saying, "We're so glad you're part of the team. Happy holidays." And we were talking about how much that actually means to someone and how nice it was. She's like, you know what? I am so going to go the extra step for them because of this. And we got to talking about how just a tiny show of appreciation and warmth during the holidays in the workplace, in your personal life, goes so far. And I think we probably agree on this. Like, when in doubt, gift. Give someone a Starbucks card. Like, it doesn't have to be huge. That's my
I totally agree.
little
Gifts,
gifts are nice.
notes.
Show appreciation. Bake
Yeah.
something. People love homemade baked goods.
Yeah, my son, who's a very talented baker, usually bakes cookies for his professors and for his bosses, etc. It usually goes over really well, so it's a great strategy. But I totally agree with you. Gifts are look, they're not necessary, okay? Like always, but certainly if you have the means to do it, you should, and they do go a long way during the holidays,
Yeah. You know what? When I was a young poor person in magazine land, I baked cookies for coworkers as gifts, and everyone loved that.
That's
And
great.
I'm a good cook, but a very bad baker. And people still liked them.
Yeah. Well, and in New York, everybody loves cash, right? You got to tip your building people, your doorman.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's a lot.
You
It's
don't
a
have
lot.
that as badly ananymore.
I don't?
Are you in a standalone building? No.
No.
Oh.
But the Brooklyn tipping culture is less than the Manhattan tipping culture,
Oh, yeah. Ugh. Yeah. All right.
I will say.
So that was sort of a joint hero, but we still have to do heroes and zeros. But
Yeah, of course.
just wanted to encourage people, don't hold back this holiday season. And it doesn't
Be
have
generous.
to be expensive.
Everyone's fatigued. Be generous.
Exactly. Or just send like a cute Instagram. Just send a cute digital card. People will
Exactly.
smile.
Yeah. Or go buy someone a drink.
There you go. Oh,
There you go.
there you
So
go.
easy. So easy. All right. So who's your zero this week?
So, I know I say this a lot, but Elon Musk announced this week that
Oh
he
my
has
God.
figured out how to do data centers in orbit that will be powered by the sun. And as I have continued to feel, some say the world will end in fire, some say the world will end in ice, and I think it will end because Elon Musk tries to save it. I think Elon Musk is going to put something in the atmosphere trying to save the world that
Yeah. Well, he was named earlier today one of the people of the year by Time. There was like a couple of them.
who are the others?
I guess AI was the person. He was included amongst those.
Okay.
He
All right.
annoys you. I know.
It's just that he's evil. That's just that.
Yeah. It seems,
What about you?
That's on point. My zero is holiday related. We've talked a lot about, holiday movies and ones we've liked, and I'm certainly in the holiday movie watching mode. Caught Home Alone 1 and 2 this past week. The Jonas Brothers Christmas movie is my zero for this week. And I say that with a very heavy heart because I
Can
love
we
the
talk
Jonas
about
Brothers.
your decision to sit down and watch that?
Well, we watched maybe 15 minutes of it and shut it off. It was that bad, to be honest. And it was,
Are they playing themselves? Is it like a
Yes.
Beatlemania movie?
it's so bad.
Like Jonas Mania?
I can't even. And Nick Jonas used to be my neighbor and super nice guy. And we've met the Jonas Brothers. They're
I did
really
a
great
cover
people,
story
so
once on
I feel
Joe
bad
and
saying
his
this.
wife.
Yeah. So,
I wrote 3 cover stories for Fit Pregnancy magazine. Thank you, Laura Kalehoff.
wow.
One was on Joe Jonas and his wife. One was with Lindsey Vonn, I want to say. And one was with Ivanka Trump when she was pregnant.
Yikes.
This was in 2013. And I have a picture of us together. She's still
You
silly.
and-
At that
You and
point,
Ivanka Trump?
oh yeah, it was 2013. She was just like a nice girl that had a shoe company.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that didn't come up in my due diligence of you before this podcast. Who's your hero for this week?
Hero is I thoroughly enjoyed Champagne Problems on Netflix, and I highly recommend it. Minka Kelly has such a good haircut in it that it's amazing if nothing else for her haircut. It is in the grand tradition. I would say other favorite Christmas movies of mine in the latter day ones. Into the Wild with Kristen Davis and Rob Lowe was on Netflix several years ago. It
Wow.
involves elephants. It's wonderful. There's one where Brooke Shields buys a castle. Highly recommend that. And also, obviously, all the ones with Vanessa Hudgens, Princess Switch 2, and Princess Switch 3 are modern classics.
That is deep knowledge.
Oh,
Deep.
I am the prototypical Christmas loving Jew where I am gimme as much as possible.
Wow.
Bring it on.
All right. I love it.
Give me
love
the
it.
sparkle.
I love it. Well,
about
my
you?
hero is Mackenzie Scott, who revealed this week that she's donated over $7 billion to various charities during the past year.
Yeah, and didn't even
And
need to
she
go
didn't-
stand next to Trump like the Dells to do
Right.
it.
She didn't need to go kiss the president's ass in doing so or get any recognition. In fact, she didn't even put out a press release. What she did was update a footnote in a blog post that she posted like 2 months ago with the amounts. So she gave $7 billion, no press release,
All's hard.
to numerous charities with no direction over how they should be used. And, that's really admirable.
Yeah.
She's given away over
Mackenzie
26.
Scott.
She's given away over $26 billion over the past
Yeah.
several years. That's
That's
incredible.
amazing. Go Mackenzie Scott.
I don't think your boy Elon Musk has done that.
No.
And he has a lot more money.
True.
Sad.
Sad.
So
He
kudos
might
to
be
her.
giving a lot of money to the plight of the white Afrikaner farmers in South Africa.
Oh, right. And he gave us all that free government service, which was so useful. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With the
Doge.
he's
Chainsaw.
nice. Yeah, he's nice. All right. This was really
right.
fun.
Yeah, we're done.
Have a
Great.
great holiday weekend.
Yeah, you too. And thanks to everybody for watching or listening to Across the Bar.
Sadie Rahbar, our amazing producer. Thank you as always.
Yes, thank you, Sadie. And we'll see you all next week. Take care.